And welcome back, everyone, to the Zanpakuto creation series from Okaha. We have the question of what is the Zanpakuto of, Sun or Hellboy or Ama Un Ramu or Rama, son of the fallen one. So Hellboy, like so many other characters on this show, comes into the category, or falls, I should say, into the category of characters that I can do something kind of unique with. Because, unlike, say, someone like a JoJo character, whose stand is literally a psychic representation of themselves to some degree, but a separate entity and all that, and I can just convert that into a Zanpakuto. Hellboy is kind of unique, because I do feel that his heritage and his real name, all that, his true name, all do and should apply to his Zanpakuto on some level. Like, I do feel because he is demonic, at least half demonic, that needs to play a part. At least in some way, shape, or form. But how? Well, first of all, the type of Zanpakuto it is a Keto type. There you go. Wonderful. Sealed, it's a katana. Most of them are. Now, release, I don't think I actually... Oh, I forgot to actually name the release. I just realized. The release would probably be light him up, or it's like crack him open. Ooh, crack him open's a good one. Crack him open. But this is where it gets unique. I actually think the Shikai's name is his real name. Anung Unrama. I do think that is his real name is the name of the Shikai. Now, the form it takes is at its spirit. I didn't think about the spirit until now. I think the spirit does look like his more demonic form, like with the horns, the flames, all that. But in Bankai, it's a little bit different. And we'll talk about that when we get to the Bankai. Now, its actual form, because in world, he'd still have his demonic arm, as a Shinigami or whatever, is that the Zanpakuto in his right arm converts into basically something that looks akin to his gun, his Good Samaritan gun, his handgun. It looks like the muzzle of just the size, or a size bigger than his arm, wrapped around there. And it fires shots of Ryatsu. But these Ryatsu shots, they do not destroy, at least in the conventional sense. What they hit breaks down and changes form. Now, what do I need to change this form? Well, that all depends on when it hits. For example, if it hits a wall, if they're fighting in Saratan and it hits like some walls, that section of wall breaks down, maybe a bigger hole breaks down, reforms, and maybe it looks more like something else that those minerals are composite, maybe diamond or maybe like a type of metal. However, if it hits a person or a hollow, it doesn't just break their bodies down, it breaks their Ryatsu down into their base components and reassembles them into something else. For example, if it hits someone like Ichigo, let's say this is a Soul Sunny and it hits Ichigo, it would reveal, he gets hit, breaks apart, and then reforms. It would reform him as an actual complete hybrid, because that's what he is. Fully realizing what he's supposed to be. If it were to hit, say, let me use another one. If it were to hit, say, Gerard Valkyrie, who is the heart of the Soul King, well, it might actually convert him back down to like a torso or something like that. Like, it would revert him to something like a base, his true nature. If it were to hit Zaraki, it would basically turn him into a complete monster, because that's kind of what Zaraki is. Admittedly, it'd probably be like in the form of a kid or something like that. Point being, what this Zanpakuto does is not just break and reassemble. Going into the Bankai now will really reveal what the true nature of it is. And that's kind of what I just spoiled it a little bit. Now, first off, the Shikai of it, or the Bankai of the spirit of the Bankai, it takes the form more of like a half demon, half man, with some angelic and demonic, like wing-like features on it. But the gun breaks apart and instead turns into this giant floating, like, aura arm around Red. And in essence, what it does now is he just has to cut, if anything in his vicinity, within the aura of the arm, which can still control and do what it needs to do, it can still hit stuff. It reveals the true nature of things. And the idea I had for this was the fact that his arm is the right hand of Doom. But in every circumstance we've seen him in, at least in the movies, what its design purpose is to do is to unlock, say, doors, is to reveal like the true nature of something to some degree, is to open things. And so, because it's a key, I like the idea that what the key unlocks in this case, especially in Bankai, is to simply convert things into what they truly are. Like if he's going up against Hollows, all they are is just hungry spirits, really. And maybe this would be one of those things where it can actually invert something back to an original state to some degree. For example, maybe for the Hollows, it actually is able to, at least for like weaker Hollows, like Menos or below, it could actually turn them back into human souls. Because in essence, that's all they are. They're souls. That's the true nature. But for like a stronger Hollow who's regained their sentience, like an Ajuka class or a Bastarlotes, any of the Espada, that would be a lot more of a dangerous endeavor to do. Really, this Zanpakuto in terms of basically conceptual manipulation is akin to something more like an Ichimonji than any other Zanpakuto in the 13 core card squad, really. So it's a very unique Zanpakuto in that fashion. But as every Zanpakuto, it's not perfect. First off, it doesn't have a real offensive capability in the grand scheme of things. It can reveal the true nature of something, and those Reishi bullets certainly can hurt when they hit you, but then they'll just reassemble you, and maybe they'll reassemble you into something weaker. But maybe they'll reassemble you into something stronger. So not only does it lack offensive capability, it's also kind of got a random effect kind of thing. Or a random effect. You don't know what you're going to get with certain individuals. Also, again, Ryatsu to Ryatsu, that's an issue. Like, you just can't randomly affect someone who's infinitely stronger than you with the Zanpakuto. The only offensive capability I'd say really is the kind of aura arm he gets, because the Zanpakuto has still got to protect the user on some level. So I'd imagine while the range, I think I did it similar to in the last Zanpakuto video also. The range, we're talking about this range of a Zanpakuto. Well, anything within this range, similar to like say a Urahara Kenabarake Benihime Atarame, it has a range it's available, and it still has the power of the Fist of Doom to fight, and the fist can be like launched, stuff like that. And beyond that, I mean, it's still an interesting concept for a Zanpakuto, and I think weirdly enough, Hellboy is a character that fits with a Zanpakuto like this. Like, I don't think this is a bad idea for a Zanpakuto for him of all people. But I digress. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.